There it is.
Presently, and we're live. It's the week of March 12th, and I am not feeling 100%, but that's okay because we have PJ to carry us. Hi, PJ. and we have Michael Hilton, our rotating guest host.
Happy to be on as always.
And it's yet another week of opens. This has been like 3 out of 5 for me, although one was judging. I don't know how many more PJ has or Michael has. But that being said, we're going to go into our weeks in review, and we're going to start with TJ, I guess, because he has the least to talk about.
Okay, so my weekend was 2 different sealed WKOs. The first one was at Gamers World in Aurora, which is Rob Peterson's store. Sat down, got the recording set up. The stream wasn't working because I can never get a good enough Wi-Fi signal for it to not just be like completely chopping out at like once every 5 seconds. So sit down with my packs. My pack 1, of course, has to rub it in my face and be a Professor X streamer. My pack 2, man, I can't even remember the rare. This team was so bad. I know I couldn't get theme unless I wanted to play like 45 points under build, so I wasn't going to go with that. Oh, Banshee was my other rare, so Banshee was good. But I had only one other Gen X piece to utilize the Headmaster trait, so I ended up playing like Banshee, Penance, this like 50 or 60 point Jean Grey. That's pretty much it. So round 1, we sit down. I get obliterated. I think I scored 40 points. Not a whole lot to talk about for that game. Round 2 goes incredibly similar. I don't win map. I don't have props. So ultimately, I'm going to get outrolled against anybody that's a theme team, which is everybody. So we play on WizKid's office, and I move out with I have 2 ex-trainees with part of my team. I was pretty excited about that. He's playing a chamber, and I go hypersonic to punch his ex-student. And the only way to punch the ex-student is to stand next to chamber. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I crit miss on my hypersonic. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty annoying. So I roll my breakaway and roll a 1. So I'm like, oh, so I'm just going to die on this, to poison on the next turn. That's a great use of 25 points. So that was pretty much the end of that game because that put me on tilt pretty hard. I also found out that game that Skids only has a 4 range, not a 6. So like I TK out Banshee and I go running shot, shoot, and then I'm going to barrier up and realize that I don't have good enough range and that barrier is minimum range 4. And I was like, oh. So Banshee died immediately also. So that's pretty fun. Game 3, I didn't hit a single attack. Just got steamrolled again. Declared that I was dropping, but Rob did not catch that. So I got paired into round 4, in which I just conceded. So I went 0-4 for that event. Next, we'll just move on to the next day. So that is a sealed at Rockheads Comics and Games in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And my packs consist of Rare Fat and Broken Rare Storm. The only other X-Men I had was Mystique, an ex-student, and an ex-trainee. So that's the only things I get to carry with Storm, which isn't terrible, but considering my primary attacker for that team was Fat, I wasn't really looking too hot. My first round was pretty close. I ended up losing, but scored like 195 points. But the highlight of this game is he has a Storm adjacent to my Mystique. He's on last click. I'm on last click. I crit miss and die. Okay, that's unfortunate. He moves over with his Storm next to mine, who is also on last click. So I attack with my Storm to try to kill his Storm again. Roll another crit miss. And at that point, I'm just like, it's funny because there's nothing I can do about it. All he has left is Storm and Brew. He moves Brew in, pushes him to a stop click. I sidestep into position to pulse wave both the storm and the brew. And then next turn I can push to pulse wave the brew and win. But instead, when I sidestepped to kill the storm, I rolled my third crit miss that killed my third character. Like I've never had that happen. Like I've rolled a bunch of crit misses in a game, but I've never killed, 170 points worth of my team on crit misses, give or take. So that was fun. Round 2, I played against a guy that I have no clue how he lost round 1. He was playing Super Rare Magic, Old Man Logan, Jubilee, and a Hellion. Like I just sat down. I was like, well, I'm done for the day. But I get a really good opening attack with Fat on Old Man Logan. I knock him for like 5 or 6, so I can ignore him for a little bit because he's off move and attack. I tried to mind control his magic to finish off the Old Man Logan, but I missed the mind control with a 12 attack on an 18. I missed it 3 times. He rolls Regen like 4 out of 5 turns, and ends up back on top dial with Old Man Logan because he couldn't roll a 1 or a 2. He rolled like a 3 on the first one and then 3 consecutive 5s. And I'm just like, all right, well, that's cool, I guess. I end up killing Jubilee and the Hellion, and that was it. At 35 players, though, they were only doing 4 rounds, so I meant at X2 you're eliminated. So I just dropped at 06 for the weekend and sealed. My highlight for the entire event was after one more round when some more people dropped, they ran battle royales with indie that were free to enter. So I spent my next 3 or 4 hours while a couple other people that I rode up with were still playing. It was like me and Adam Friedman and then 2 other guys. We just kept doing indie battle royales. And it's hilariously bad when you're like, all right, I got a 5 attack. I need a 7. Like, what? There was at one point I heard I have a 7 attack. Okay, I need a 3 to hit. And you just have to question everything that's going on when you hear those numbers. That was the highlight of my whole weekend. I won a couple indie battle royales. For all those people who are saying, "Oh yeah, it's funny, you never scrub out at events," I was like, "Oh no, I scrub out at events. I just don't usually talk about it." So this is me talking about me going 0-6 over 2 events. So yeah, I'm done talking.
Michael?
I don't hear Michael.
Yeah, I think you're muted.
That's what happens when you use your actual headset to do it instead of the mute button on the stream. You can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Jen and I went to a WizKid Open. She actually pulled really well, Magneto, Realist, and Kid Gladiator. And then I managed to pull the Chase Sinister with a M in the same pack. And then I pulled the rare all-new Wolverine in my other pack. And so I kind of just stopped looking at everything else. I looked at what I could do, and I was like, I'm just going to break theme, and I'm going to play this because I pulled it. Why not? It ended up being pretty good. Sinister really was lackluster in the fact that his move and attack wasn't where I wanted it to be. He kind of sat in the back while M and All New Wolverine did most of the work, and then he kind of cleaned everything off after. When I tried to go in with him, 3 damage. It was just kind of whatever. I really missed Prob. Really missed Prob. But Sinister getting damaged and going to Outwit ended up winning me numerous games. Round 1, I was against Lane, who didn't pull anything. He just threw a bunch of stuff together and tried to make it work. He was using Artie and Gold Ball, or not Artie. I'm sorry, not Artie. Leech, Gold Balls, Icarus, just some trainees, a Cyclops, like just a bunch of little low point pieces to try to make something happen. He made it into top 8 with us with that. He was like, oh, I'm not going to win a single game all day. And then I was his only lost round 1. So I won that game. Game 2, I was against someone playing the White Queen Super Rare Prime. She had Iceman, Rock Slide, a Knoll, and something else with it. That one was a little scary just because if I hadn't gotten the Alpha Strike on, then the damage output that his team had was very, very strong. Like he was going to be hitting for 4s or 5s every turn with that mini global and power enhancement thing going on. Ended up winning that one though. Game 3, I went against someone that pulled a ton of tie-up pieces and Chase Iceman. He put me on an indoor map. I missed my swing on Iceman and then got Pulse Wave obliterated from then on. Iceman's good, if you didn't know that, especially in Sealed, because he's infinite characters in one, technically. I can't tell you how many times that weekend I saw him have a Pog out, attack with the Pog, then just absorb the Pog to be stronger, attack, and then drop another Pog at the end of the turn. So that he had a new untokened Pog ready to go. Or he would have 2 if he just didn't feel like he needed to do the absorption, and it was gross. I fought, though. Like, I did what I could, but the Iceman destroyed me. Game 4... I want to say I was against... Honestly, I can't remember. Game 4 or 5, they weren't very, like, super memorable. I was just focused on winning after losing that one with Iceman. Anyway, cut to top cut, and I have to fight Lane again. He puts us on Wakanda, which ended up actually helping me because of Sinister's stealth. He kept having to come up to my pieces. He was really good using Leech, though. He kept passing him around with his pieces. Like, he'd walk it up with one and then drop it and then have someone else sidestep him from there and then drop him and have him, like, outwit people. So it was very much a kind of chess game of where can I put Sinister to at least block him or Wolverine to try to do something. He ended up not realizing a ruling dispute, and that's kind of what won me the game. He attacked me with gold balls and dropped the object. He then proceeded to move and grab the object, carrying it behind me, and he thought that I was still adjacent to it because I was adjacent to the person holding it. And so that caused a bit of a dispute for a while. Eventually had the judge just pull up the rulebook where it says, like, in a paragraph, objects are not on the map if they're being held. So then I was able to kill that. He dropped that object because I killed him. So then I was next to it again. And then I guess he got distracted or something because he proceeded to pick it up again with someone else. And then I was like, okay. And then when he next turn realized what he did, he went to move away and he forgot to let go of it. So it was just a bunch of, like, I guess there was a long day. And then after the long ruling questions and stuff anyway that was happening, he just kind of was out of it. Plus, I had already killed like 100-something points. And he was trying to get through a Sinister, an M, and an all-new Wolverine. So I won that one. Top 4, I was against... What was I against top 4? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't a top 8. It actually was just a cut to top 4. That was top 4. I think they just gave the prizes for top 8 or whatever. But then I was against the Iceman again. And again, I tried to fight it. I killed everything on his team except the Iceman. Because when I went to go in, he put us on an elevation map. And so what he would do is stand on the edge of the elevation and then absorb the little ice clone, become big, shoot me. The end of his turn, he shrinks back down because for some reason it's during your turn and not until your next turn that you're giant. And so he was just doing pot shots with the elevation like that. And then I tried to back up to get out of the way, and then he just absorbed his guy to become stronger and just ran up and pulse waved my Sinister and one-shot him. So then I just had M left. And so she just ran around the map running from Iceman, trying to kill everything else to just get points. And then eventually he went ahead and pulse waved her, and she died too. 12 for 5 pulse wave is pretty strong. So yeah, got second. So I got everything but Lockjaw and the invite. So that was cool.
Cool. I guess I had the most eventful week this week, including some non-open talk. Emily, Devin, and I did some playtesting on Wednesday. We don't do playtesting ever because we live a surprising distance apart, like between Jason and I and whatever. So playtesting is actually not a thing that we do as much as preach. So I was bringing my or Tom's team of Devil Dinosaur, Jean Grey, Zatara. And I switched the War Wheel for a Mare Droid because you don't need to carry Devil Dinosaur anymore. You can just TK him with Jean Grey, which is so good. But then I ended up dropping the Mare Droid because it never did anything besides died of Hawkeyes, which just turned to teleporter, but didn't seem worth it. So I ended up switching for the Torso, which then goes on Zatara, which is surprisingly good because if my opponent has Nick, I have 2 equal high point characters, so he doesn't get the penetrating. So like the actually to shut down the invulnerable, and I also have the jet terrain, which is good on the Wonder Woman barn because you can block off an pass for overdrive. So you have to spend time destroying blocking to actually move across the map. And getting the map bonus is good because that happens to be the map that you can get the map bonus for. And we did some more. Our local tournament on Sunday was playtesting. I did that, and although I accidentally input the wrong information on the win, I ended up winning both games. Although Devin really should have won that game that we played on Sunday because he just lost because he missed like not the hardest rolls. But that is just how Heroclix works apparently, because that's what happened in the Open, where luck of all sorts was not in my favor. My team in this sealed at Jackson Queen in Elmville, Ontario was really bad. I can just pull it up again. I ended up playing, my rare was Fat and my super rare was Professor X title. I played, in addition to those 2, Penance, who was surprisingly good, Skids, X Trainee at 25, and a Noli. And I had literally no other options because 2 of my other 4 characters were another Skids and another Noli. And then Uncommon Iceman, so not even the good one. And I think the other thing I had was Skin, who was just not good. So Professor X was literally the only TK I pulled. Fat was surprisingly effective. Penance was really surprisingly effective, considering that there's a fair amount of mind control in the set, as well as shape change, which basically mattered in every single game. And in one game, I was playing against characters that had both, like Artie and Kama. 18 defend with Professor X's +1 was decent. X Trainee always had hypersonic, which is good. And a Noli's X student trait never really mattered because I had another character with it, and he basically just took away from my actions because I had 6 characters and 3 actions because Professor X does not even have leadership, which is good. So I'm not really going to go into detail because I won a bunch of games that I shouldn't have. I went 4-0. I still don't understand how because the team is absolute trash. But Fat has surprisingly good stats. He can get to a 20 on this team if I have the +1 on his defense, Professor X title, and Skids. So I won a bunch of games that I shouldn't have. And then I was top seed, and I played against somebody who I don't know how they were bottom seed, but they had Kid Gladiator, Uncommon Cyclops, Common Cyclops, and Sprite. Not themed, but I still managed to lose map roll, although the map that he picked wasn't so bad for me either, because he picked Amok Time, which is the opposite side of the indoor Star Trek map, and it allowed me to at least try to get attacks on Kid Gladiator, except that never happened, because basically what ended up happening is he obviously had better equal better swings. He went first, moved up a little. I moved up a little because by that point he was just able to get to my starting areas. There was no point staying back. What happened is he moved forward, I moved forward, he cleared. I ended up, what happened? Oh no, I think he cleared, I cleared. It was his turn. He hit Professor X title to his last click, went back. So he had one tokenized Kid Gladiator, doesn't have willpower, and then he had the X-Men keyworded Cyclops to roll leadership. So I knew I got to go for the Cyclops, get him off that leadership as soon as possible. So I go for it with my Penance, who, and the reason I didn't attack is with other characters on Kid Gladiator himself is because he basically blocked him off with all the other characters. So I went for the Cyclops to at least get the leadership out of the picture. Because I know if I hit, I got him off of it for sure. He doesn't have willpower. He has to clear. And that whole game, he never cleared. He never pushed Kid Gladiator, so that would have at least given me a little more time to do stuff. Then I missed the 5, 11 on 16, so that was not ideal. But dice happen. And from then, that was basically the only way I could possibly even have a chance. And of course, he happened to roll the leadership the next turn. So he just wiped me. Nothing really I could have done about it because I should not have. Would have been nice if I had just at least lost one game and not have been top seed and gotten a little bit better. I don't know how Emily lost. I think it was just dice on her end, and as well as the fact that she was top 8, got knocked out by Trevor, but she had a really good team too with Magneto, Prime, Angel, Super, and a bunch of other really good stuff. But Trevor is that good. One of our better locals or players in the general area. So we both ended up top 8, but we both got a lot of playtesting in this week for the coming Constructive Open we're going to in Ottawa, which is looking less appealing by the second because I'm pretty sure that the really good Quebec players are going to be showing, but we will see what happens when we get there. And we have a lot more playtesting to do this week. So that was it for us, and we do have some results coming in from the Constructed Opens this weekend. I think we had Majestics put up their article of all the winners from the last week's, and there's a post on the Clixed group of all the winners from Constructed from this week. So we have J Major with a bunch of shredders. So Mini Shredder, Claw Shredder, Overdrive, Nighthawk, and then ID cards, Green Arrow, Spider-Man, Superman level 7, and then the usual call-ins. So he won in Strongsville, Ohio. So PJ, what are your thoughts on shredders? Are they good?
Of course, shredders are good. They're consistent, and Jay's been playing them for a long time, so I'm not surprised that if shredders are going to win, then it would be Jay that wins with them. So, yeah, he's been playing them since the get-go.
Yeah, it's kind of weird thinking about how they haven't actually been out that long, but they've just kind of changed everything. Like, there's just so much you can't play now. Like for all those poor KC figures, we're gonna rotate anyway, but I miss them. Michael, you're muted again.
It's him this time, not me.
Right?
There's always one. I mean, shredders are shredders. They're always going to be good. I find it funny. The hype had kind of died down for them a little bit. And now all of a sudden, everyone and their mother are looking for shredders again after this win. So their price have jumped again. Like I saw something today, someone trading like the Chase Magneto and a bunch of other stuff to try to get some shredders. I was like, jeez.
Yep. Moving on, we have Warren Jin, who won in Miami with a very different team. He had 2 Sam caps, Shifting Focus Doctor Strange, General Lane, Overdrive, Carnage at 10, a bunch of IDs, Cyclops, level 7, Magneto, Superman, Chamber, usual sideline. And I think if I remember him saying somewhere that he had the Strange as a backup taxi in case there were random Mr. Nobodies, but I haven't really heard about any of those showing up. So once you're carrying like 3 characters, you get +3, -3. You can call in 2 ID cards. It just seems like everything good about Odin the Destroyer, but just kind of better.
You couldn't call in 2 ID cards.
We have 2 Sam Cap. Oh, right. Oh, it doesn't work that way. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, you can take 2 actions. Like, one could charge, and then one could...
Right. Yeah, I forgot that not everybody gets to just call in 2 ID cards now.
Yeah.
But still, seems pretty good.
Yeah, you know I'm on board with this build. Sam Cap's like my favorite piece in Modern.
Yep.
Obviously, I support this.
I felt PJ's beaming smile in Georgia when I read that.
Yeah, that seems just really good. I mean, she doesn't have the best damage output, but super strength. You have lots of Heroclix. You have enhancement if she wants to shoot. You have partner range, enhancement +1 attack, overdrive being advantage and power. Like that thing, I think. Chamber has enhancement. Level 7 can give characters random shield team ability. Like it just seems really, really, really good. I'm very happy that I managed to get my Sam Cap on the way before her price goes up like double because of PJ. I wasn't focusing the camera on my face. What else do we have? We have Randy Carter, who won in Owensboro, Kentucky, with probably the most different, unique, interesting team. We have Professor X, rare, at 50 points, so not the prime, just the A version. The one with the I mind control everybody within range, no attacks, but just the moves. Moira, non-prime, also. X-Trini, Darwin, Lila Cheney, this is the new awesome X-Men taxi. UXM Iceman, Supreme Intelligence besides the Iceman, and then a bunch of IDs, Free Leech, Free Sprite, Wolverine, Cyclops, level 7, Green Arrow. It does look like 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly enough characters to use 6 ID cards out of teleporter. So it just looks like Professor X does a lot of... Your opponent just never gets to do stuff, it looks like, on this team, because you just have Professor X move everybody, Iceman locks down whoever, and then you just seem to chip away from what the looks of it are. Because you do have sights up on Iceman. So you're able to get him up there. Professor X is annoying from range. A lot of perplex there, now that I think about it.
The longer you look at it, the better and better and better it gets, honestly. When I saw that, I just kept looking at it. The fact that essentially you pick, what do I want to kill this turn? And that's what you bring over. And then you ice wall them up. Next turn, you call in Green Arrow. He shoots them and turns off the defense powers. And then Iceman steps through them again and gets the free attack and finishes it off. Like, it's going to kill a Unimind. It's going to kill pretty much anything. He also ran a symbiote on that team, which is pretty good for a little bit other utility. And it's, 2 perplexes, an outwit, and 5 theme team probs.
Well, if you get Moira or second click, that's the second outlet.
Yeah, if you push her, yeah.
Yeah. It's just too bad. I mean, you can easily kill Mr. Death with that build because of how the Ice Wall interacts with her revive. It's just too bad you can't kill Shredders that way, because I think there was a Facebook thread post earlier today about, like, if that works the same way with them as Mr. Death, but I don't think it does with the Shredders, because they just revive and then the placement effects happen. Like, they're not tied. It's just one and then the other. I think PJ was on that thread as well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, I was there. I agree with it. I agree with that ruling. They don't function the same as Mistress Death. Her healing is required is reliant on her placement, and the Shredders turn to a click and then get placed. So I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I happen to literally have had her right next to me. It reads, when Mistress Death will be KO'd and there's another friendly character on the map, you instead place her in your starting area on click number 3 with 2 action tokens, and the opponent scores her. So that's like a whole block attack. It's not separate clauses. Like, I think Shredder say, heal and then place or something?
Turn them to click 4 and then your opponent places them.
Yeah. So, but still, that's just a really,
what was the
really
issue with it? Like, what was the question?
whether Iceman can just auto kill Shredders ignoring their trait like he can Mister's Death. But it seems like he can't do it to the Shredders because of how their revive is traded.
Oh, talking about if you can't place it, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
TJ, you like the team?
Yeah, I thought it was neat. Had a lot of moving parts. It was well constructed. I don't. You guys pretty much covered everything with it, so I don't really have a whole lot to add to it. It was nice to see something else win. So yeah.
You say that, but now we have a very different team. We have Dustin Cedars, weird team. So he was playing a very weird team with the weird. So he had the weird, Overdrive, Justice League Teleporter, Mirror, which I think goes on the weird, Ironheart, Haha Joker, Dragon Fang. Pretty sure Dragon Fang goes on Joker, Carnage, a bunch of ID cards, level 7 Dr. Fate, Superman, Queen Arrow, Wonder Woman, Nightwing. What Dr. Fate does he call in? Oh, the Fast Forces from Superman, Wonder Woman, who's pretty decent. But I think you're probably just wanting that for the inspiration because No Perplex is good against Unimind. I don't get it. I think it just seems like what kind of thing. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm sure he played it very well.
It's
so the gimmick for the team is that the weird can free move, call someone in, and then give them a free move, and then they can shoot.
Oh, because that's not beginning a turn anymore, right?
Right.
Wow. So new rules were like, hey, weird, you're about to rotate, but just be good for a while, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, that's the second weird team to win this month. So
I guess we didn't talk about that one. Look.
Brian Galley won with it. It's good. I mean, the weird's awesome. I mean, Howard Brock played him for like 3 months straight at like every event he went to.
He kicked my butt with it.
Well, before the rule change.
Yeah, with precision strikes change, and you basically have to nick, or well, Green Arrow doesn't even work with 2%, but you basically have to nick him at this point. But then throwing 3 to 6 shape change on top of 3 to 6 2% is just seems like the most obnoxious thing ever. For as long as the weird is still a thing, because he definitely sees rotation, because we know Fast is going to go and they're the same year. But that's pretty cool. Kudos to him for pulling off a different team. But basically, it just seems like Shredders are the thing to beat right now still, based on these results, unfortunately. But we'll see in the future. Who knows? It just sucks that my teleporter and my Superman inspiration are going to rotate, because it was fun to just pick that every other turn with my team. But, oh well. Otherwise, not really much going on this week, considering that probably half of the opens are sealed. So we're not seeing as much constructed, as much rocks as we usually would, because everybody's scrambling to get those dogs, get those qualifications for nationals. Although I guess now that I mentioned nationals, we should probably talk about that whole thing, if I can find the link, because I forgot about that whole thing until just now, unless it's in a convenient link on the WizKids site.
With all
and then there's the minor rules article thing we should go over to. So basically, we got we know what the prizes are, or at least most of them. So we have, I'm going to screen share this, I guess, assuming the screen share works properly. Screen share. No. Okay, I'm just have to read these off. So, winnable figures are Daredevil, just as Daredevil. I don't know what that could mean. Kingdom Come Orion. It's actually pretty cool. That was in this timeline. Orion killed Darkseid, takes over Apocalypse. You can see pretty powerful. Bombshell Hawkgirl, Banshee ID, which is obviously good because running Shell Pulse Wave. We needed more columns for that, right, guys? Right?
Rock Age, Banshee.
And Rock Age. Psylocke ID. I don't really know. Like, what do you call? I don't know what you're calling in, because the ones to retire. I guess you call in the main Force Deadpool X-Force one because she has that really cool trait.
Yeah, where she can just do 1 billion damage.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be good depending on if the inspiration is good enough.
What do you think the inspiration is going to be?
It's probably going to be Blades or something, but...
Could it be Mind Control, maybe?
Oh, for Silent. Well, we already got Mind Control on Emma.
And Progressive Pyrex is Shape Change.
It'll probably be Blades.
That seems reasonable, although it's not going to have the second swordsman effect based on the precedent of the X-Minds having older inspirations, but not with less stuff attached. So Banshee's inspiration is completely up in the air. It's obviously not going to be Pulse Wave.
It probably won't be Force Blast because that's Cyclops, but that would, I think, be the logical one.
Could be Flight Symbol.
Maybe Precision Strike?
It could be Penetrating Psychic Blast.
That'd be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Although I guess more balance without teleporters. So that wouldn't be like the worst. But isn't the new one exactly 70 points? So Sam Cap can be like, hey, Banshee, get in here. Or is he 75?
75. I mean, you can call it low with the running shot if you shoot somebody lower points thing, but that's terrible. Yeah, so no Banshee off of Sam.
Do you think we're going to get IDs in the animated series set based on...
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, would have been announced, but it does seem like the most likely.
We'll know as soon as we see the picture of the 2 ID cards we're getting. Because if Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy have the animated series pictures,
yeah,
decision's over. Yeah, it's definite.
Okay. Speaking of which, yeah, so we have a Mr. Freeze ID card and a Poison Ivy ID card. That opens up a whole avenue of possibilities. Like, I would just love to call in Killing Joke, Chair Joker, Range Combat Expert for like 5 damage, double token something, penetrating poison stuff, because that works, I think, off ID cards based on how the POG placement works, I think. I'm not
sure does. Yeah, you can poison on the calling because it's not a placement effect.
Yeah. What else? Calling in that OP at Deadshot seems ridiculously good. 100 points, 12 and 5, 10 range, ignores hindering. And when Nick goes, we have just less self-busting call-ins.
Like, there's so many good Batman villain call-ins. Like the Riddler is, I mean,
oh my god, yeah, right.
But now you can call in and get the clue.
Yep.
Plus we don't even know what we're gonna get in this one. I'm expecting a really strong Clayface because in the TV show Clayface was really strong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Calling in Harley Prime for a turn seems just really good. Just like, hey, I pick a figure, can't do anything, so I just get a free turn.
Yep. I agree with that. And I mean, Hypersonic 11 and 3 is not terrible. Yeah, there's so many good Batman villains that have potential for IDs now.
But it's funny that we'll have all the Batman villains and no Batman ID because it'll rotate.
Batman rogues will run amok. So that's it for the winnables. As far as purchasables, we have Marvel Blackbird, X-Men Blackbird. So remains to be seen if it'll have special terrain attached or if it'll do something else that's pretty cool.
That's what it'll be. It's just going to be a third invisible jet. All it is. I'm calling it now. Third invisible plane.
I mean, it is known for blowing up more than anything else. So.
Yep.
We also have Commissioner Gordon for sale figure. So possibly Barbara Gordon from Batman Beyond. Maybe Commissioner Gordon as Batman, although that would just be called Batman probably. And we have the Star Trek Heroclix away team, Kirk and Uhura figure. So probably the famous episode where they have the kiss, I would imagine. But it seems like these are, and it says that these are the They debut at Origins. Yeah, WizKids is thrilled to announce the 2018 Heroclix exclusives and for sale Connolly's to be available at the U.S. National Championships below for the first time ever. Heroclix players will be able to win, blah, blah, blah. So that seems like what the heck comes out at nationals that are before U.S. because as far as precedent goes, like Canadian has been before, a bunch of them have been before. I'm pretty sure UK was already confirmed to be before at the beginning of June. I'm not 100% sure. Are you guys excited for all this stuff?
Nothing that has me like particularly giddy. I mean, I like new stuff. Like, I'm fine with that. It's not a bunch of like reused pieces. Like, it's characters we don't see as many of. So I'm excited for that. But I don't know, nothing has me jumping for joy just because their name is out there. So I want to be excited for the Blackbird, but I am not excited for just another freaking Invisible Jet. So
No, if it's Quinjet 2.0, that'd be different.
I don't know. I don't think I'd like that.
I mean, you say that, and we're getting. I mean, we have 25 new IDs from the main set. We have some open exclusives. We have con exclusives, and now we're getting all these Batman villain ones. So it seems like we're going to have as many ID cards as we did before, or close enough.
It'll be similar. It'll be
numbers. We also have the 8 DC con exclusives from before. I mean, half of them don't have anybody modern legal, but still.
Never know.
Batman animated series.
Yeah, WizKids does not seem to want to be shifting away from the ID cards. So if there's any sort of resource coming out, I would imagine that it would totally be related in some way to ID cards. Well, I could be wrong. That being said, what nationals did they actually confirm?
US.
Yeah, US is happening. Where's the list? Is there a list? I thought there was a list of other nationals that were happening. I guess not, but there was one. It's like Canadian, I think, among others. And they said that US nationals and worlds were going to be splitting. And where did they say it was maybe going to be? Like a fall convention or something?
Yeah, on the East Coast, which is PAX Unplugged, is pretty much the only.
PAX or Dragon Con?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Dragon Con's not East
how
Coast.
Yeah, it is. It's in Atlanta.
That's not East Coast. Atlanta's not on the East Coast.
No, but Georgia is.
That is not applicable to what they would not use East Coast as a definition for Atlanta. That's just like saying that it's like parallel with Gen Con. They could just be like, yeah, Gen Con's East Coast. It's fine, even though it's in the Midwest.
Well, I mean, I consider California West Coast. It's the same thing. They're both touching water on opposite sides.
Yeah, but I don't know. You don't really call like, I don't know. Georgia's not constituted as East Coast. Like, never have I ever heard that as a terminology explaining Georgia. Like, that's Southern.
I mean, we'll see. Whatever happens, happens. But
I would much prefer it be a Dragon Con. I would way more enjoy it if it was a Dragon Con than because PAX Unplugged is ridiculous. Like, the tickets sell out fast, and Dragon Con never has the limit like to worry about the tickets selling out. I would just much prefer it be there.
Here's a thought. Do you think that the announcement of Rocktober leaving Atlanta could have been an influence for them trying to bring something to Atlanta?
I don't think that would incentivize them to want to spend more money. Because right now they're already booked at Origin, so now they're booking a separate stance. I don't know why they would want to, from a business perspective, book and find employees and move everything down to another location. So I can't imagine it's for anything other than they just want to separate them. But I don't know. There's also a chance they weren't able to book as many days at Origins anymore, like contractually.
But regardless of where it ends up being, how do you guys feel about the split in general?
Okay.
So if this was the announcement for 2019, on board 100%. Like, great, do that. But it's too late in the year to make an announcement like this because I know I myself have already booked my hotel, already bought my Origins badge and everything. So now all of a sudden there's a monkey wrench saying, well, about that. Maybe you don't need to be there as long, or like, I don't know. They're basically punishing anybody who planned ahead. And if you're going to make an announcement like this, it should be before tax time because that's when most vacations get planned and booked. It is the first week of February. So that's pretty much their deadline when you're talking about major travel announcements. So I know a bunch of people who already have flights booked, and now they're going to have to go and cancel. And hopefully they can, because there are non-refundable flights that you can book. And if they booked one of those, they're just shit out of luck. I mean, there's a distinct possibility they may have never even qualified for nationals, and they were just going to play in grinders, participate in worlds, and now it's just completely wasted money and a wasted trip. This is something that they should have probably brought up many months in advance. And from my understanding, I don't even think they've talked to the volunteers about this yet. From everything I've heard, they just kind of did it, and nobody knew about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it got kind of undid, but we'll kind of see, I guess, what happens. It'd be nice to see them just be like, okay, this year we'll keep it the same, but next year we're going to keep Worlds at Origins, but we're going to move U.S. Nationals a couple months earlier or something, because that's, I think, how it should be. Because fall Worlds means a lot of younger people don't get to attend, and that's bad for the game. So you want your kids, Micah and Jalen and Austin Lytle, like your young 16, 15-year-old kids that are playing the game, you want them to be able to participate at the highest level to keep them interested. But if you have it in September, October, they got school to worry about. They got extracurricular activities, you got football and all that stuff. So you lose out on a lot of potential future players.
That's the issue with the Pokemon Worlds too, is they do it right when school starts back up in fall. Like, it's just a bad idea in general. I've always been under the impression that if you're going to have nationals, right, at that point you should already have the next year's ideas established and say confirmed this year, this is what's happening next year. That way right then, do I book it here while I'm here or do I do something else? Like, just have 1 year in advance. I'm not saying like a decade or anything, but give people a chance to know what they're going to do. And you should know what you're going to do so you have time to plan.
They should have at least known by beginning of the year. Like if you make an announcement like December, that's still probably a little late, but 6 months is a lot of time. It's a lot more than 3 months.
And any of us that have gone to Origins numerous times, you get the emails and the spam saying, hey, it's time to go ahead and register. We have stuff open now. By the time the con is advertising, you should already know if you're going to be doing it at that con or not. And that was happening a while ago.
Yeah, it seems like they could have done this a little bit earlier. It just doesn't come off as the most well planned, but there's already a petition going on to change it. I'm sure it'll be a lot more manageable with more notice in the future. But as it is, it's just, and also we just don't know how any sort of qualifying for anything is going to work now. Like, are there going to be Worlds grinders at Origins at Nationals? Like, how do you get into Worlds outside of winning Nationals or placing? Like, are they going to still do the point thing from this year's Nationals where, what was it, top 50% you get in, bottom half you get half the points you need? Like, we also need more information on top of this right now.
Yeah, and like if they're still booking 4 days at Origins, are there going to be Nationals grinders, or like not necessarily grinders, but are they going to do what they did for Worlds before, or wherever, where they do like a sealed, and then like top 4 from each day get qualified for nationals or whatever. Like,
with only first place getting their invites, I could see that being a likelihood.
Like, why make the announcement if you don't even have all the details? Like, it makes no sense from a business standpoint, from a PR standpoint. Like, you shouldn't make half-cocked announcements. Like, you should be coming with all the information that you have available and not just, hey, we're moving some stuff. Good luck. Then that's it. Like, they're not giving. Now, if they wanted to come out and say, we're moving it Worlds to this place on this date at this time, and this is what's happening with Nationals, and this is our origins plan, and this is, okay, sure. I would be less upset. But there's so much that's just up in the air that you have to guess. And guessing when it comes to trying to plan, your annual vacation stuff at work and trips is just itchy.
Hell, I'm able to say now because of Evelyn being born, there's also all of us that have kids and needing to be able to plan childcare. Because honestly, most of the people that play, we're adults. Like, there are some kids that play, but typically we're adults. A lot of us have families that we have to plan for too.
Yeah, I mean, I have done that, but even then, like, most of these opens I've been going to aren't American. Especially with the fact that you have to win to get your qualification unless the other person already has it. So I'm not going to have my U.S. national qualification, almost certainly. And then there's no incentive to me to go to nationals as far as I know right now, unless there's something else going on there that will be worth it. Like some other, like a qualifier to get into nationals or worlds later, or just anything, or like any more information that we have right now, so I can make a firm plan of if I need to go there or not. Because assuming that it's just nationals and nothing else, I have no intent to go. But more information would be good.
Do you think they're going to do a nationals team if they do have the 4 days, just so they can try to fill the time?
I doubt it, but it would be cool. I mean, I would definitely participate, but I don't see them thinking that far ahead on it, honestly, for nationals. I mean, they already show they don't really care that much about it. So I would expect – I'm really just expecting it to be just 1 day for nationals and then a whole bunch of, like, random 600-point Golden Age name theme team events or stuff like that. So,
the keep one character alive or you lose and all the random events they do.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we're also going to have Battle Royales where the set is going to be very old, considering that there's no way they're using Avengers Infinity for it. So you go back to X-Men for that. So even less incentive to play those than there was before.
If it was Infinity, it'd be cool. I mean, I don't see why
that'd be awesome.
They already rolled out their tests for VR adjustments at Gen Con, and I think it went pretty well perceived, where if you open anything with multiple starting lines, you have to play it at the lowest line.
Well, that's interesting.
So that way you don't just pull like the 1,000-point Colossal and just win. You had to play it at its Retaliator line. Do you even really take a Retaliator and a BR? I think the answer is probably no.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they ran it all their BRs at Gen Con that way, and most people seem to really like it. Unless you opened a Goblin King and then you were pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a Cosmic Spidey, or
yeah. So, I think I could see them doing that to make Avengers Infinity a feasible format. That's not just who got the bigger piece.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. It would also be good to know what the future on Lockjaw and Shadowcat looks like right now, because as of now we have no idea. Because we do know about one Marvel con, because we know about the Daredevil, and it almost seems like the Lockjaw and Shadowcat are perfectly slated to be the remaining prizes, but then we just don't know. So it's like, well, do I buy? We don't know. Still don't know if it's like, do I buy a Lockjaw for 200 now or not? And that sort of thing. So,
well, I'm glad I got mine for 10.
wait, 10?
Yeah, I mean, that's how much it costs to enter the event.
The constructed event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am glad that judging is a thing that happens sometimes because I was not going to win any sealed, and we'll see about that constructed one. But more transparency in general would be nice. Just being able to plan for anything. Because I traded away my Shadowcat, assuming, there's no way that they keep it exclusive. Because on top of the fact that she wasn't competitive to begin with, but it would be nice to know if it's going to be impossible to attain her in the future or not, and just general more information for players, because this is all that travel, a lot of commitments, as far as time, taking off work, taking off family time, all sorts of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how I think there's only like 100-ish signatures on that petition. So we'll see. Any other final thoughts on this topic before we move on to the rules document? TJ?
No, well, we pretty much touched on everything I cared about it.
Yeah.
Michael?
Nah, I'd say we're good.
Okay. So they published the same day a very small-ish rules document. They said that was the first one, and there was going to be another article to just some tweaks. So basically, they're clarifying how action totals work. So with X, we'll say action total plus and minus X. Like leadership would be, I guess, plus 1. And then it's minimum 2. Yeah, it's always minimum 2, maximum 10. So your opponent can't just play a bunch of effects and give you 0 actions. Bystanders are getting a new symbol, which is the 5th symbol, but it's flipped. And it's called autonomous, and this character's cost of actions don't count for your total. And they basically clarified that it was going to be basically for pogs. What did they say?
They're going to use it sparingly if they don't put it on a pog.
Yeah. I mean, I get why they would do that, because like there's just a lot of pogs that say actions don't count or move actions don't count. So yeah, just being able to save on the text and being able to remember better of like, oh, does my pog's actions count period, or is it only move actions or whatever? So that's better. Then they clarified how the new key phrase for how many bystanders could be made at the maximum is. So it's max X. So if a character has a maximum of 6, they have max 6 on the card. Breakaways clarified that if a character failed to break away, that move immediately resolves. So that's that action or that special triggered effect. That character can't move or make an attack or be given actions at no cost. So if they fail charge, they can't make the attack. If they fail the move, break away, portion of mind control, if they do that first, they can't make the attack. All that stuff. And then they mention some typos, that if you're drawing a lot of fire, your own square doesn't count, which was already a thing previously. If you're considered damage, you have to actually click your dial. How characters with multiple screen starting lines like Morlocks and X-Student work. Clarifying how Flurry and Steel Energy work, because that one is kind of confusing now. How powers are lost and how durations end if a character goes into the sideline. How replacement, whatever, that works. And how autonomous and sharpshooter don't make you not standard, because there's at least, Jack Frost definitely survives rotations. That matters. A bunch of other stuff, just clarifying and whatnot. And lastly, a new key phrase of immune. So basically, if you get the equivalent of first round immunity later in the game. And then they opened up their email address for feedback, game feedback at WizKids.com from March 9th through the 15th. So if you have any feedback on stuff, it goes there. And there's going to be new rulebook in 2018 that comes out online, so you don't just have to buy a starter. And basically, yeah, just a couple minor cool things. Like, I've been playing Double Dinosaur a lot, so having to remember, oh, that their move actions don't count, but the regular other actions do count. It's just good. Michael, any thoughts on the new rules clarifications, new things?
I mean, it's basically just to try to simplify some stuff. It's not too much that's like game altering or anything like that. Am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay, cool.
You're good. I can hear you.
I like the new set symbol. I think it was important that they specified about the still being a standard character, just so that that question doesn't even come up. I'm not sure that it even would have, but it's good to see them trying to be proactive at least and eliminate questions before they occur.
That question was actually on the rules form at one point with Jack Frost specifically.
But the fact that it had to be on the rules form, at least this way, that won't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the fact that this is what the third or fourth revision of the rules since they just made new rules already, it's a little frustrating that you can't have a actual rule book that has everything in it. And then they said that they're just posting it online, you said, so then you still won't have it, or?
No, I think they said it was, let me just double check. The comprehensive rules will also be updated and published electronically around the time of the 2018 core rulebooks released later this year.
I think animated series, maybe.
Yeah, Batman animated actually does have the rulebook in it, but they said that they don't want players to just have to buy the starter for that. So that's why they're putting it online.
Okay, as long as they don't forget to put all the revisions from the revision page into it and just reprint the 17 one with these changes, I'll be okay with it. But I'm just afraid they're going to forget something else, and then we're going to have all the rules questions that not everyone has access to right off the bat all over again. And
yeah, it kind of reminds you of the 2015 rulebook, which was basically 2014, but they added like the line of fire or the newer giant rules at the time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
PJ, any thoughts on the article?
Two thoughts. One, the primary thing that matters is if it isn't broken anymore. So.
Oh yeah, did I forget that one?
I don't know if you meant.
There was a couple of powers and abilities cards. You don't pulse wave yourself. You have to place the smoke-led markers in distinct squares. Battle Fury's characters can't be given range actions. Outwit, you can't choose a special power not on the character's card. So they fixed Ophidian for some reason. I didn't realize they actually would care to do that. But yes, they did fix Ophidian.
It's future-proofing in case anyone else has a similar power or they want to remake an Ophidian with that power again. I mean.
Yeah, you never know. It just seems like a good thing to do for just game balance of, well, there's no reason to want to pre-outwit a special power that a character doesn't get outside of just breaking the game. So that should have just been a thing in general. Like, I don't think you should be able to necessarily pick stuff they can never get access to anyway, but this is pretty good too. Though, does it work with possessors then? So I guess you can't pre-outwit like a Brainiac special power then, because it says if you choose a special power, it has to be printed on the target's card.
Oh,
yep. So they might want to clarify that.
Yeah.
Meh. I don't think that really breaks anything, though.
No, it doesn't, but it's just a thing that they should have thought of in the first place.
Other thing I take from it is I like that they're updating things constantly. It shows that they're giving a damn. Like, they're trying, that they're listening to people, that they're not just blowing smoke and taking what people submit on the rules forums, answering it and ignoring it. I like that they're willing to modify and adjust the rule book to make things make sense. It's like, yeah, obviously you don't pulse wave yourself. We know that. But they're willing to admit, oh, yeah, we left out a word, so we're going to add that word in. And little stuff like that. As long as they're not overhauling stuff, I'm fine with them doing a bunch of little changing wording and adding some clarification. And I'd much rather see that than see nothing. I think overactivity at a point is bad if they do it too much, but I don't think they've quite hit too much yet. So until they start overhauling, I will probably still be on board with all their little stuff. Like this whole article, I mean, nothing I don't think really changed functionality on how most people were playing it. I think it's just all clarification and finicky stuff.
Wasn't there a question when Colossals first came out whether Adam hit himself or something too? Because of how it was worded.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's generally accepted you can't attack yourself unless otherwise specified.
Yeah, because that's when the new giant stuff happened too. So then he could be 3 away, but he said all characters within 2. So it's like if you put yourself within 2, did you hit yourself? I remember that question coming up a lot.
Yeah, I like it. I like the clarifications and stuff. And hopefully it'll clear up a lot of people who are worried or who, if you're like me, get ignored when you submit WizKids questions. But like I just put one in because I think the power 3 on the teleporter doesn't work.
Yep.
So I think there's like 4 different ways that you could rule it. So I think I need them to just answer the question. But
Wait.
I haven't got denied.
Hold on, wait. For what? It doesn't. It works as before. It's the exception to the beginning of the turn. You do it any time. If you do it at the beginning of the turn, but it breaks your beginning of the turn, like how else does it work? It works.
Or they change it to be like the weird where it's still beginning a turn, but it's at no cost.
Oh God, that's even
It would
worse.
be just the most broken pile of mess ever. But that's what I want them to say, so I can use a really broken teleporter for like 2-3 months.
I would very much like if they clarified it before this weekend because I'm playing it at an open. So yeah.
I just always assume you play it as it has been, beginning of turn power actions. But the rules do very explicitly say you cannot take a costed action at the beginning of your turn. No exception.
I should find out who's judging at my event so I could ask them.
Like it either doesn't work at all, works as normal, is anytime during the turn, or it's at no cost beginning a turn. So
I don't think doesn't work at all is really an option. I mean, it has to work in some way.
Yeah, it should work in some way, but it is WizKids. It could just be where they don't care, and they're like, "Yeah, it just doesn't work."
How did Pat rule it or whoever ruled it at the World Cup?
Anytime during your turn.
Oh dear God, it's all fun.
But I couldn't argue with when the judge was saying right here, it explicitly says you cannot take a non-costed action at the beginning of your turn. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather lean towards it just works as it did upon release because that just makes it flow better. It doesn't just further break it like how SamCap is just SamCap now. But not that I dislike her. I just think I'd rather stuff be maintained to work as designed rather than be completely overhauled and just work ridiculously. So that's just me.
That's what the future is for.
That being said, I think that was pretty. I guess we could go. I don't even think there's no point going over the new OP kit. None of it's very good. None of it can be used as an ID card. You can't use the object on its own. But there's a new OP kit out with Silvermane, Black Cat, and Speed Demon, and they're all okay.
There was so much potential with that head.
If it was usable as an object, but otherwise, nothing really going to see much play. I don't think. I mean, Speed Demon can steal objects, but he doesn't have an ID card, and he's not very good otherwise, unless PJ wants to disagree that something from the OP kit's really good.
No, this whole OP kit's terrible.
That being said, I guess we can jump into the questions, unless somebody else has something they want to discuss.
I do. Let Michael go first.
No, I'm good. Go ahead, PJ.
I want to bring up the event on April 7th in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find the event page real quick.
I think it's on Facebook.
Carl family.
Oh, yeah.
They recently had a daughter pass away. I believe she was 2.
2, yeah.
Yep.
They're running a super qualifier April 7th in Michigan. I really don't remember the time or the city, but it's just north of Detroit, if I remember right.
It's like 18 hours from me.
I think isn't it south of Detroit? I can't remember.
I think it's a little farther away than Eternal Games is for me.
I think it's like an hour from Adam's place. I don't know.
Isn't it almost Canada?
All of Northern America is almost Canada.
But especially Detroit.
Here we go. It is in... Really? That just says the name of the store. It doesn't even say the city. It's at Frankenmuth River Place Shops, the stadium. I'm going to Google what that exactly is.
That's what I had to do when I was trying to look at it.
It is in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Okay. I guess that makes sense. So yeah, it is not too far from Detroit. So anybody in the area should really consider going to this. It's going to be 300 modern, and all the proceeds go toward the Carl family to help take care of funeral expenses and all the unneeded and unwanted. Help try to kind of relax all the timing here. Obviously, this isn't going to make anything necessarily better, but anything that the community can do to help will be incredibly beneficial. I've already seen what this community can do for people they don't know. I raised almost $1,500 for tornado relief and that was before anybody really knew who I was, before I started winning events. So can't even pull the "oh well it's you" thing. So I would love to see 50, 60 people show up for this super queue. So,
didn't Howard donate the full kit?
Yeah, he upped it from whatever level it was to the next level of kit.
It's like a mega, isn't it?
A map or something. Win a map for a trial, and he upped it to a super queue.
Oh, okay.
Heard? I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to, put it.
There are maps for top 4. So.
Yeah, it is definitely a super queue now. I just don't know what it was originally. Mm-hmm. What was donated? I don't want to overplay or underplay what happened, so I'm just going to say I'm not 100% sure. I know they're going to be running raffles throughout the day that you can buy tickets for to win other pieces. The guy with some LEs I'm going to donate. So they're going to have, a lot of cool stuff that you can buy into to help additionally with the financial burden. So
yeah, I'm planning on being there if possible.
Yeah, if you're in the area and you're not there and you don't have a great excuse, probably going to step on your toes when I see you.
I don't know if it's too late to change anything or not, but there's been a charity one that's happened before where you could buy a prob for $1, no cap.
I would be all on board for that if it wasn't a super queue. Since they've escalated the level of the event, you escalate the likelihood. I could just show up with $1,000 and guarantee myself a bye to the finals or a bye to the semis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would kind of be going to an awesome cause. So I'm almost okay with it.
I agree with that, but that's why I think the raffles are fine. And they should do a side event that is buy a prob and do a win a brick side event or something.
Yeah.
That you buy a prob. I just think when you add in buys and stuff, that's where the salt hits the fan because you're going to have people just tilted.
Pay to win, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, he just had more money. Oh, he just got his tax check and he has 17 kids. So, I don't know. I could see that opening a lot of, flack.
Yeah, I was just
a side event that buy a prob.
A charity event either. You don't want this to be a negative experience for anybody, I would think. But
I would hope it wouldn't turn into that, but I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. If they did the buy a prob side event, even if I wasn't playing in it, I would still walk over and buy probs in people's games. And then do one of the ones I saw, you do $5 super probs that roll you into a crit hit or a crit miss.
Oh wow.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that before.
It's just an escalation. I mean, it's 5 probs, essentially. So, donate to 5 bugs. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. But
yeah, it's a great cause, great event. I'm going to be there unless I literally cannot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That being said, we can move on to the user questions if I can pull them up. I think there are a bunch today, actually. I'm going again in the order that they show up on Facebook, not by time, because blah. Anthony Thayer asks, what is everyone's reaction to the sudden change in World's Leaving Origins? I think we pretty much covered that.
Yep.
Lucas Tom Van Holland asks, will Chris Stockhouse ever get a guest appearance on Metal Lab? It seems fitting since he makes sure he's involved in the community. Jason seems to have already said yes, but I would have already said I would absolutely love that to happen. But anyway, he disagrees.
I think he said he worked like Monday.
Yeah,
so that's the biggest problem.
But, yeah, I'm sure a random holiday or whatever could be.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
That sort of thing.
Chris is good. Chris is a good dude.
I completely agree. Michael Holt asks, why you guys about the sudden change to the World Championship and why they announced so late? You guys think they do on purpose? This guy's from like Puerto Rico or something, I think, so it's hard to understand the question.
Yeah.
They should not have announced it so late. And none of us are particularly happy about it. So yeah, I think we covered that pretty extensively. Again, Michael Fedor asks, would you be interested or be in favor of pieces that gave keywords like the entities did or inherited them from others like the What If Jessica Jones? Well, it seems like we're still getting that because we had 2 characters that did it in X-Men with Dark Beast and Only Wolverine. But I literally started an HRM thread about attracting those kind of characters. I wasn't the first, but that first one was closed. But point being, I like those kind of pieces. I would like to see more. It doesn't seem like they're stopping. PJ?
I like it a lot. The only thing I would love to see is an inspiration that grants a keyword. I think that would be neat. I don't know how great it would be, but you never know. Like a Professor X that hands out X-Men keyword, like, just could be useful for like random leaderships and team synergies and stuff. So I think it's something like that would be cool. But
with old leadership, it was awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, just keeping with the track that they're going now, I don't foresee them stopping stuff that hands out keywords. I mean, we see 1 or 2 like every other set ish that gives out some type of keyword or gains other keywords itself if you're playing it with something or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, we do know that WizKids like players playing as many of their pieces as possible, which is why ID cards exist in the first place, regardless of how good they really are in the actual competitive scene. But point being, the more times you can play character themed, the more you'll get to see it. Like on the Wolverine, if she was a little bit better, would probably see a lot more play because of that trait, because you could just randomly give her any theme. Michael, any thoughts?
I want to see severely nuked entities come back just for like cheap things that you can play on yourself that give you keywords that force construction. That way you can play a lot of different kind of stuff together. Like, I don't know, maybe there's like a Cerebro or something, or I don't know. It's hard to think of things that would actually give it to you, a symbiote, actual possessor, stuff like that, that maybe they don't necessarily give out a ton of powers and stats and all that, but even if you're paying an extra like 7 points to get a keyword, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of part in the point formula about how many keywords characters have and why certain ones cost a certain amount. So I'm sure you could assign a point value to it. That'd be pretty cool. What else do we have? Mick Miller asks, are you looking forward to the new combat symbol for Pogs and of pieces that mess with action totals and best call on Psylocke? I mean, by the time we get that Psylocke ID card, the OP kit one's gonna be retired. But regardless, I don't see why the uncommon from Deadpool X-Force isn't just the best at that point, because I think that's one of the only two we have in Modern. Just double checking.
Yeah.
X-Force is pretty much it.
Yeah, the starter one is okay, but that other one, I'm just going to read the trait. When Psylocke makes a close attack and hits an opposing character that can use Incap, Mind Control, Outwit, or Psychic Blast, roll D6 that can't be rerolled and increase Psylocke damage value by half the result. And she has a 6 movement charge, so she is getting wherever you need to go to facilitate that. And pending an inspiration, she's only 90 points. So yeah, she should definitely be seeing some play. The other one, 3 damage exploit, Mind Control range is 7. It's whatever. But as far as the other part of the question goes, yeah, just clarifying how pogs work and how it's not confusing and how they don't need to have a trait or whatever for every individual one is good, I think. And I don't think we haven't gotten a piece that messes with your opponent's action total in a while. I think the last one was probably what, Trinity War Martian Manhunter, unless I'm forgetting something random.
Faust.
Michael?
There was Faust, who had the special power with you do the extra actions and take away from your opponents.
Yeah.
Right, but less reliable, and anytime it was competitively viable, it was nuked in the interest of the spirit of the game working properly. That wasn't actually really thinking it. That's a fair point. TJ, how do you feel about that whole question? Psylocke, action total messing, and the symbol for pogs?
New symbol's good. I like new symbols. I like it anytime you can consolidate text. And because we already have plenty of pieces that do it, so giving it a symbol doesn't effectively change all that much. And then yeah, that's the only Psylocke you would ever want to call in, I would think, unless you just strictly need something lower points, because I think the starter is lower.
50, yeah.
Yeah. So unless you need something 50 or lower, you're always going to call in the 90 point one.
Michael, any other thoughts?
Nah, we've pretty much covered that earlier and again now.
Mm-hmm. Mike Backley asks, hello, Metal Lab. A simple question for you. If you had the power to make one piece permanently modern, meaning it never retires, what piece would you choose? Can be currently modern or golden. Take it easy, everyone, and as always, peace. Michael?
Dark Magician Girl.
Which one? Obviously the main set one?
Yeah.
Good one. PJ?
Oh man, I don't know.
I didn't have enough preparation, so I just had to shoot something out that I knew was golden.
I like broken stuff, so like.
I know yours, PJ. Justin Seifert.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think like random drone is something like Phalanx drone or Gorotron is probably
yeah. Well, it's probably just overall better considering that we're still getting ID cards. So,
yeah. So why not?
Except now with new ID cards, Justin can send someone out, they attack, and then they call someone in.
Oh yeah.
Why?
If Justin wasn't banned at Pat's event that I'm going to in 2 weeks, you better bet that was going to be the game plan. I was like, I'm just going to run out my big robot, and then I'm going to call in some monster and just obliterate you with it. Good deal with it.
Good game.
Yeah. Good job.
For me. Oh, man. There's so many good pieces. Right now, I'm going to say Double Dinosaur because I would love to see a time where he doesn't just get nuked by, like, Green Arrow or equivalents. And I'm just looking forward to a time when anything that just says, hey, you're awesome, uncounterable, ignorable defense art doesn't matter at all. So I would like to see him survive forever, like the dinosaur that he is.
Well, he is. It's called the new one over in Infinity.
Oh, yeah. Except that one's good and not from a really good comic, probably. So we'll see. But, yeah, I think we're getting two, because I think we're getting him with Moon Boy and Moon Girl.
Yeah, it's probably just gonna be an A and B, I'm guessing. Like,
and Moon Girl is apparently like right now the smartest character in Marvel, so she'll have like a ridiculous outwit probably. Probably? I don't know.
Hmm.
We like speculating on the show too much, like last week. What else do we have? John J. Drapp asks, PJ Bolin, remind you are going to tell me how to beat David Paul Gausman's team. Who then responds, just show up.
So before Dave was playing full dial Goblin King with a Supreme Intelligence and a Symbiote, and John was asking how to beat it. And I was like, it's actually pretty easy. And he was like, well, how? I'm like, well, that's kind of mean to tell you how to counter somebody's build on the post where he's talking about playing it. I was like, maybe we'll talk about it on the lab. So the easiest kitty to beat it is just to tactical slave. And Darwin is actually very good against OMA Goblin Kings because they don't have a Surtur to get in the way or to stop him. So having the access to sorry.
Apparently, Surtur didn't matter, at least for the Iceman team, though, because he ran Darwin and ended up winning.
Saw a Surtur for some reason.
I guess people weren't actually expecting Darwin. The Surtur talk kind of killed the hype, and so then it's like it's the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I think also, to be fair, he probably didn't play against much pickup power either. So Darwin probably wasn't very effectual the entire day for him, nor was it something you had to worry about. I think you just play Surtur if you're playing pickup power. But yeah, that was it. Just pack Pulse Wave. That's the easiest way to kill something that has a moderate defense value, but a bunch of ways to roll out. You get to out action him and just take Iceman ID, take Storm ID, have a pickup power PH, just whatever. It's all pretty obvious statement. Just Pulse Wave the crap out of him, and then eventually he will just explode. Or as Dave said, just show up to the event and you'll beat it.
Chris Stockhouse. My biggest problem while I'm playing Shredders is facing other Shredders. I feel like I'm underestimating my opponent's reach or the fact that each Shredder team has slight differences. I feel like I make more mistakes against Shredders than I do against anything else. Any advice on what to change in my playstyle against Shredders? What do you guys look for when facing Shredders, other than just practicing against Shredders? Anything else I should try? I am no help because we just don't see a lot of Shredders locally. PJ?
So the first part of his statement where he talks about not knowing the reach, that is the most important thing about being a competitive Heroclix player, understanding your opponent's reach. If you are unable to do that, then you really have to focus on doing so. You have to know every square that they can stand in, every square they can call something into. I mean, if that's every square on the map, then just accept it and go do your thing. But you do need to understand exactly what they can do, even if they're playing at the exact same variant. They may be playing it slightly different. So also knowing people's habits is big. So if you don't leave like the Midwest very often, you play against a lot of the same people, or you see them play. You get to know what their tendencies are, if they're aggressive, if they're passive. I don't necessarily recommend changing your personal play style when you play against Shredders. Obviously, if you're like 0-12 against them, you should probably change it. But your play style shouldn't be directed on what you're playing against. Like if you're an aggressive player, you need to play aggressively because that's going to be your tempo. If you're a tempo player, you need to do that way. If you're a passive player, you need to continue that way. Don't adjust your play style in every matchup, or then you're going to end up falling in matchups where you shouldn't be because of you were trying to be less aggressive against Shredders, so now you're less aggressive against builds that you want to be more aggressive against. When I'm looking at an opposing Shredder team, I look at how quickly I can kill their taxi. That's the first and foremost thing. And I kill their taxi on turn 1, and then outwit all their side steps and stand there and laugh at them as they move around slowly. So that's a lot of things. Board control is important against shredders. Standing on the edges of elevation, blocking up the ladders so they don't get the free penetrating damage, is an important way to protect some of your softer pieces from shredder damage. Granted, if you're playing shredders, that's not where you really want to stand, but if it is a concern, you can go there if you know they're going to get to you first. But I cannot believe you came onto this show and said other than practice. Always. Anytime you can.
It's like the slogan for the show.
But yeah, just summation. Understand your opponent's reach. Don't overly compensate your playstyle for one particular matchup. Try to kill their taxi if you can. And then practice.
Yeah, I was playtesting a lot against one build that had a shredder, or included shredder, as well as overdrive, and the Sam Cap Hawkeye Colin just kind of wrecks overdrive right now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many shredder teams are still using overdrive, taking into account the fact that you played that team that has Sam Cap to do exactly that.
I mean, hell, even the rare Professor X call-in is a good counter to it. Send all the shredders farther away from you, bring overdrive to you.
Yeah, and also it was interesting. I was not sure about how to rule this because we had a player spawn overdrive when she still had immunity, and there's a part in the rule book that says that you could have immunity in your starting square. But then it said something about that being if you're first placed on the map during setup. I wasn't sure if that applied to overdrive, but yeah, we'll see. Any other thoughts, Michael?
Nah, I mean, PJ had a pretty good dissertation of what to do right there.
Last Facebook question. So if you have one on YouTube, put it in now because it is about to be done. Christopher Smotherman asks, as a whole, do you think that the Xavier School set is overpowered and undercosted? It's like they took UXM commons and gave them all perplex, leadership, better stats, better traits, and crazy abilities. Michael?
I don't know. I really like where the set was, honestly. Let's see. I just want to reread it real quick because I had another sound coming through, and I don't want to ask you just to repeat it. Let's see. Go on to PJ while I'm trying to pull this back up.
Okay. So comparatively, when you're talking about this set against like UXM, absolutely in a one-on-one circumstance, it is overpowered and undercosted. But the entire game has been moving in that direction. We've been getting a lot more value out of lower cost pieces. Like Moira is a perfect example of a undercosted piece. 25-point leadership perplex. That's just good. Pushes on down. Like it's everything you want out of a support piece, except for prop. But comparatively, absolutely broken. But I wouldn't say that like in meta play that like all the copies are overpowered and undercosted. But there are some very costed pieces. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was able to see what y'all are talking about now. I agree. The leadership especially felt very strong, being like everywhere. And typically with leadership, it was also going with the perplex, so they kind of went hand in hand. Moira, of course, is always going to be the number one example of that. Now, there was some other stuff that I felt was honestly a little strong for the points. The small point Professor X was an example of that. Having the outwit on top of the, I don't have to see where I'm shooting mind control everyone, felt a little like too much. But again, the game, like PJ was talking about earlier, before it was, I have a 5, I need a 3 to hit. Now, look where we are now. I mean, anything in the current day would utterly obliterate without a crit miss anything in the past. It's just a power creep that happens in every single game. I mean, even with like MLG type games, they have to constantly do patches because of things being overpowered, and you just can't do that with a tabletop. So that's what the erratas try to do, but you don't want to make it to where people aren't wanting to play because you're ruining every single piece that they start trying to play. So, I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to keep creeping. Eventually, it'll hit a ceiling where they'll probably do a huge overhaul of like pulling stuff back like they've tried to do before, but actually sticking to it. But they're going to have that big outlier piece that helps sell the set. I mean, it's a business strategy. There's a reason that typically the chases are very strong or very highly wanted pieces. It's because they want to get you to buy the set. And at the end of the day, they need to make money. It's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, power creep is just a thing that happens in general. It's just all games. I feel like it's unique to this game, but as long as it's not so ridiculous, it's just more a gradual thing. It's, by the time stuff becomes obsolete because of it, it's going to be retired anyway. Like, yeah, UXM stuff isn't quite as good, but there's still definitely some playable stuff there. It also might just be that stuff that was competitive there is just not as good anymore because the game itself has changed, not necessarily, or even rules changes. Like, Proteus can't avoid critical miss damage or unavoidable damage anymore, so he is less good than when he came out. That's just how it goes. Green Arrow exists, that sort of thing. It's not necessarily just based on power creep happens, but that's unfortunately just the reality of the situation. PJ did point out that I did forget that I had some questions in the group from when I shared the Facebook post. Adam Cole asked, how many games will the King of the North, Adam Cole's Pizza Face team, win? Can it go all the way if he doesn't crit miss 6 times? I don't know how many Pizza Faces he actually played this weekend, but there were 4. There were many, many living pizzas. That is a teleporter that is churning many, many, many much. I mean, it depends when you're playing it, because the open you're going to is sealed. So, and we don't know what Canadian Nationals is, so I have no idea what to tell you. I don't know how good your team will be because I don't know what the game will look like at the time. TJ?
It depends on where he goes. The Midwest is a bad place to play a team like that just because there's so many shredders. And that team's just inherently bad against shredders. Because sidestep, kill pizza slices all day, every day. But I don't know. I like it. It's fun. I like the thing that turns the teleporter really fast. So, I mean, I'm on board, and I hope he does well with it. But if I had to guess in 5 rounds, I'm going to give him 2 wins.
It's pretty funny that Shredder is just hard counter the Ninja Turtle favorite food. I just love that idea. Michael?
Well, I like the fact that you're having to talk about turtles countering turtles. Like the fact that it has to be something in that set. That's the hard counter. Does he play White Queen ID card in that?
I have no idea what the build looks like, or out of there being a bunch of pizza faces.
Okay, because I know pretty much.
You can call it in.
Okay, because I know pretty much any of the spin the teleporter fast builds are probably going to start running the OP kit White Queen just to spawn the 5 cuckoos. But if he does do that, I just love how many pieces are going to be on the board at once. It seems like it's, can you even get to me through my swarm? Like, but I don't know that he'll like go crazy with tons of wins or anything.
I think last Facebook question. Brian Poling asks, TJ, your teammate Matty G piloted your team into an open win. Do you feel like his win will make your games harder because people will expect that team now?
No, I don't. The build's good, and I'm a firm believer that you don't build to counterplay against one particular build because then you lose all your other matchups. So while people will expect what's coming from the build, there's still not really anything you can do about it because it has a full map reach. So I don't know that Matt winning with it will necessarily make my games harder. Not saying I can't lose. I just don't think that aspect will have anything to do with the matchups.
I myself am looking forward to playing the build, although I don't have all the necessary ID cards, unfortunately, because they're just some things I don't own and I end up borrowing. But at least maybe see if I can have some fun with it more locally. I don't know if missing all the ID cards will be good on the grand scale of places where people actually have everything. It's like because I'm building for this open this coming weekend, and I have no idea what the local scene there looks like. I don't know if I have to assume that everybody has every possible tool. Like, does everybody own Green Arrow and Hawkeye columns? Maybe not. But,
are you going to a competitive level event?
Yeah.
Prepare for it. I mean, that's
right. But it's like it's not so much the whole team in general, just like the minor things. Like I was thinking, well, is my Mara Droid okay to play if not necessarily everybody has Hawkeye? I don't know the scene at all, so I guess I do have to default to assuming that they have everything. But that was not the question. Moving on to YouTube, and then we finish up. The questions are the all caps. Oh, KJ asked, question, does the World Championships move to the East Coast in the fall affect October's participation? Maybe? Michael?
If they're doing it to hard counter out of retaliation because they're terrible business people, sure. If they don't do that, then, I mean, it's not going to affect me. Granted, I live in Georgia, so it's only one state over, but still, it might change it a little bit.
PJ?
I think if anything, a change like this will positively increase the Rock Cup's attendance. Because it's, they made their announcement way in advance that it was moving, like it's supposed to be done. So the level of consistency, at least for this year, would be there. They know nothing's changing. They have all the details they need. So if it affects it at all, it will be in a positive. So I could see more people wanting to go to the Cup this year versus flying out to the East Coast. So
I really hope that that's not what's actually happening. Like, I hope it's not an intentional kind of, attack, basically. But yeah,
it's just bad so business move if it is.
I mean, yeah, the Rock basically only really helps WizKids. So, but that is another discussion altogether. Next question. What does it take to schedule a WizKids Open? My shop can't get them for some reason. I have no clue, but we have, the store that I went to the other day has not been running Heroclix for that long. I think all you basically need to do is, I guess, just have report your event on the win and have enough players that WizKids thinks that you were a viable store to run an event. I mean, the kit isn't even that expensive, so it's not like it's that much of an investment either way. TJ? Oh, I'll go to Michael first since you're chewing.
Exactly.
I just have a cough drop. I had to unmute. That's what took me a second. You're right. You get to report events to the win, and then when registration time comes around, try to sign up. Either you get it or you don't. There's not really a way to get them, so to speak. It's just be active, be timely on your event reporting, use the win for every event that's being ran at the store.
Have enough players on your events. Because that's the issue we have, at least here in Georgia, because you notice we never have opens here anymore. but it's because like all of our shops have maybe 6 to 8 players at any of the shops I've ever gone to, and I'm traveling up to Atlanta even, and it's like the biggest one I've ever had like 16 players in it, and it's like it's hard when, and that was for like a big prize. So it's hard for the little shops to grab stuff if they only have like 4 consistent players, because I guess WizKids doesn't think that having the win will draw people in, which of course it's going to. So
I don't know how much that plays into it, because like my store used to have better attendance, not so much these days. I guess they just move a lot of products, so I guess. And then when they do have an event, they have at least 20 people, so it's hard to say. We are not insiders in this information. What else? Any more questions? Is there, Lucas, Tom, and Holland asks, is there a website we can donate to if we cannot make it to the charity event?
I don't think so, but I'm going to talk to Ron.
Start a GoFundMe or something.
Mm-hmm.
See if maybe he can do like online raffle entries, you know, something like that. Like have people just be able to sign up on a Facebook page or something to enter the raffles along with the people who are there. So you can donate, so have a chance to get something and all that jazz. So, as of right now, hopefully that will be soon.
Yeah, Michael. Any other thoughts? I think there should just be one, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook raffles tend to work really well in specific groups, like if you're a pop hunter and stuff like that. I don't see why it wouldn't work for this.
Yep. That being said, it looks like all the questions we have for today. So before we fully wrap up, we have to thank our wonderful, beloved sponsors. We're brought to you in part by HCRealms.com, your one-stop source for everything Heroclix. Keep track of your collection in the unit section. Keep up with the conversation in the forums. Check out the shop and use the code MARRIED, 10% off your order, and to support the channel with some kickback. We're also supported by MajesticCCG.com. Check out their eBay store and their online store, and check out the premium site, MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. They have lots of good articles from the great minds in Heroclix, including PJ, Easton, Pat, Adam Friedman, George, me for some reason. We're also supported by the ROC, and they have their new website over at roc.ionsuite.com. If you want to host a ROC, they have a section with all the information for that. Check out their forums, keep up with any news, check all the podcasts that exist in the section. They have that on their site. That's it for this week, and as we sign off on this week's Meta Lab, always remember that practice makes your team better. Have a great night, everyone.